What up, cucks? It's your boy, the hater, and I just wanted to do a little bit of hating today, you know what I'm saying? I was excited to watch Elimination Chamber tomorrow night, I thought, but my buddy informs me that it's at 4:30 in the morning. You think your boy is gonna get up at 4:15 to get ready for 4:30 to watch the Elimination Chamber so I could see Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax? Do you actually think that I'm gonna do that? It doesn't matter what you think. Of course I'm not going to do that, and likely no American will. You know, here's the problem, right? WWE is expanding to different territories significantly, right? They're going to have like Backlash in France. They have Elimination Chamber in Australia. They're going places, you know, good for them, right? However, right, in my personal opinion, we should adjust in such a way that we are prioritized, us, the American audience that put this jabron company on the map, right? Not the Johnny-come-latelys in Australia. Now, if you're an Australian, I get it. You know what I mean? Once a year, you get it at your own time. Every other time, you have to wake up at 3 or whatever it is in Australia. You know what I mean? And watch real entertainment from an American company, because I don't think you have much of that in Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong, cuck. But nevertheless, this brings up an interesting point that I really do want to hate on a little bit. And that is the lack of diversity and the lack of good things on this card. Now, before all of you start losing your minds that I use the D word, diversity, I'm not talking about like racial or gender diversity. I'm talking about diversity of entertainment, right? This is 2 Elimination Chamber matches and then 3 other matches nobody cares about, right? And then on top of that, right? On top of that, I don't really care who wins the Elimination Chamber match for the women, because I think it's going to be Bianca Belair or Becky Lynch. And to be honest, it makes no difference to me which one it is, because we don't get a different match depending on who it is. Now, the men's one, typically this one is meaningful, right? Last year it was for the U.S. title, so obviously nobody cared at all. Like, this is how irrelevant the U.S. title is. This year, the U.S. champion is in the chamber and nobody cares about the U.S. title. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, the point stands, right? The idea here is this, that the men's elimination chamber is going to confirm to us who's going to wrestle Seth Rollins. Problem is, the Seth Rollins match is going to be a match that either opens one of the 2 nights or is like the second or third match, right? Because nobody really gives a damn about this title. So in some ways, this is a downgrade from last year, because the U.S. title at least has some prestige. It's been around for a while, and it's been around for a long time if you consider the WWE version. I mean, the WCW version of it, right? But the real point of contention, the real point of hate that I have here is how bad is this card, right? Now, I don't give a rat's ass, if the Australians are happy or not. Obviously, if it were up to me, I would hope that they're happy. But, I mean, I don't see how they can be, right? In my opinion, they've been shafted. Even their hometown hero, Rhea Ripley, which, I mean, there's a small chance this is the main event, her and Nia Jax, just because it's Rhea Ripley and it's in Australia and they have no other Australians of note. Oh, Grayson Waller, remember what I said about him? He's going to be a jobber, right? But insofar as all of this goes, right? It's like the same 3 people that are wrestling. Like, at this point, I hate to say it, but Finn Balor and Damian Priest, right, and Judgment Day in general, are pretty much keeping this company afloat, right? They're the only thing that is consistent every week, right? Everything else, it's like you may get it, you may not get it. You know what I mean? Roman Reigns, obviously, you don't get. Seth Rollins, you sometimes don't get him, like for all this talk about being a fighting champion, like, he doesn't really wrestle that much on Raw, does he? Like, I mean, did he wrestle this week on Raw? I don't remember. I don't think so, cuck. But anyways, the point is, Seth Rollins, who is the other champion, and I know he's injured now, so like I guess he gets a pass, right? Yeah, like the logic would dictate that maybe we'd have another Elimination Chamber match or something, I don't know. Or at least, obviously, Seth Rollins would have a match at this pay-per-view to at least defend his title against, I don't know, maybe like Gunther or something, right? And then like whoever wins that, the winner of the Elimination Chamber is going to be there. But speaking of Gunther, why isn't he on the Elimination Chamber? So thus far, I'm hating this completely. The card is as follows. On the pre-show, because this show is not going to be useless enough, so there's a pre-show match, right, with the Kabuki Warriors versus Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Kabuki Warriors are obviously going to win, and nobody cares, right? This Elimination Chamber is going to suck. Next up, we have Judgment Day versus the new Catch Republic, which, of course, is just Pete Dunne, who is no longer Butch, and Tyler Bate, who is, I guess, no longer just a pre-show jobber. He's actually on the show now. But think about what we're talking about here, right? We have Finn Balor, who is like a former champion. I mean, I personally don't think he should have been, but the facts are the facts. And Damian Priest, who is presumably a future champion. I mean, who knows nowadays, right? And they're wrestling two NXT UK guys, right? Or two cruiserweight jobbers. I mean, either way you cut it, this is not interesting, right? I don't see a scenario in which the Judgment Day loses. I see them taking this to WrestleMania because why wouldn't they, right? Like, what's the alternative? New Catch Republic become the undisputed tag team champions? New Catch Republic should be on NXT, you know what I'm saying? Like wrestling jobbers, but it is what it is, right? So nobody cares about this match. Then we have the Women's Elimination Chamber match, right? I guess in theory, it wouldn't be completely shocking if Raquel Rodriguez wins or if Liv Morgan wins. I think that actually would be more compelling, for a match. But I don't see it happening. I see it being Becky Lynch or Bianca Belair. But in theory, Naomi and Tiffany Stratton also have a chance. Tiffany Stratton more so, Naomi not so much. But let's be real. Tiffany Stratton and Naomi are not winning this match, right? They're not going to WrestleMania, you know what I mean? But Raquel Rodriguez has a small chance. Liv Morgan has a small chance, right? Then we have Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, which is going to be boring because Nia Jax is boring. Rhea Ripley is interesting enough, but it's like she hasn't done anything for a year, so I don't know what there's to look forward to here, right? Then next up, we have Drew McIntyre versus Orton versus Lashley versus LA Knight, versus Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. So this is kind of like pretty much split up already, right? We're going to get Kevin Owens and Logan Paul probably continuing their feud, right? And then we're going to get Drew McIntyre is going to win, in my opinion. And then Bobby Lashley is probably going to continue feuding with whatever, the Last Testament. And I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we get Randy Orton versus LA Knight at WrestleMania and LA Knight wins to give him this moral victory. Nowadays, ever since 2003, the world's really big up on moral victories, right? It doesn't matter if you're good anymore. It matters that you're better than people thought you were, right? Which, I guess is enough to give you some kudos, but it's if you couldn't get it done, you couldn't get it done, kid. Great example would be Francis Ngannou, who lost fair and square to Tyson Fury, but had a good showing. People were expecting him to get completely butchered, right? But it's sports don't work like that, right? It's even if someone's a complete jobber, no one's going to beat them completely, right? I mean, it should have happened, but it didn't, right? And the point is, people are Francis Ngannou really won the match, right? It's the fuck are you talking about? No, he didn't, number one. If you know anything about boxing, you know he didn't win. And then two, right? It doesn't matter if you thought he won, right? He didn't win. So this is not it's not a success. It's not an embarrassment. If we go from embarrassment to success, it's neither of those things, but it's somewhere in the middle, right? But it's not noteworthy. So it's the same thing here, right? It's it's not noteworthy if LA Knight beats Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which I don't see any other scenario. What are they going to do? What are, either that or maybe they're going to be in a tag team match against, I don't know, Solo Sikoa and somebody else. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest, right? That's the whole point of this video. The point is nothing here is worthwhile, right? We have some boring-ass matches on a boring-ass card. And let's think about this for a second. Okay, Kabuki Warriors, we're not even going to count that. It's in the pre-show. So there's 4 matches. Of these 4 matches, let's see how many champions we have, or former champions. Finn Balor, he's a former champion, but he is obviously the lowest level possible of former champion. He's a one-time former champion for one day. You really can't get any lower than that, right? I guess when Rey Mysterio won the WWE title for half an hour, but that's obviously an exception, and he also has multiple other title wins. So no champions here, right? Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, and Raquel Rodriguez. Now, obviously, everyone gets to be women's champion, but as far as I can tell, we have Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, and Liv Morgan. Maybe Naomi won it before anybody cared when it was on the pre-show, but as you can see, there's 2 jobbers. Maybe Raquel Rodriguez had it too. I don't know. Honestly, they all feel like they've had it, but the women's title doesn't matter. Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax, this proves my point. They're both champions. Even if you look back at the Kabuki Warriors thing, Asuka is a champion. Io Sky is going to be there as well. She's a champion, right? Now let's look at the men, right? First of all, 3 of these people are complete jobbers. LA Knight, Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul. Now, I happen to like Logan Paul a lot and LA Knight, but they're not main event guys, obviously, right? Drew McIntyre is, in my opinion, along with Lashley, an upper mid-carder. They can have a couple of title runs here and there, but they're not, they're only there because, there's no Randy Orton, full-time, and there's no John Cena. If John Cena was there, Bobby Lashley would never be champion at this point. He should be, but, it is what it is. So, in other words, the only main eventer of this entire card, as far as I'm concerned, is Randy Orton. Everybody else is a mid-card jobber. You could make an argument. You can make a small argument for Drew McIntyre because he did, after all, main event WrestleMania, but so did Cookie Rhodes. And speaking of Cookie Rhodes, why isn't he here somewhere. I'm sure there's going to be a segment because there's only 4 matches. So it's like you expect something, right? There's only 4 matches. Like, what are they going to do? Just have 4 matches? I mean, I get that the Elimination Chamber matches are kind of long, but still, even then, like, they're like, what, 30, 35 minutes? You know, what are you going to do for 4 hours, right? I know that now they have like ads and stuff, but it is what it is. So I'm hoping for a segment, and which would probably involve Cody Rhodes, The Rock, and Roman Reigns. And it's like, well, then Cody Rhodes is just like them. Like, he's not wrestling, right? Like, when was the last time this cocksucker had a meaningful match, you know? But anyways, I digress. That's why I hate, and I'm going to hate, Elimination Chamber cucks.